can dance with us. I see you. Get it. Get it. Yep.
Oh, I hit the
Go.
wrong button.
The questions are, do they
What?
have ad libs this time? And will the music shut off or will it fade gently?
We did so good last week.
I know. It's okay. Hey, comparison is a thief of joy. Okay. I'm happy to
Right?
be here.
Hello, 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 my friends. How are you?
Hey, whew, how am I doing? Let's see. We're talking about spiritual wellness. I am, let's use this word this week. I am hopeful. Hopeful.
Mm,
Yes, I'm
mm.
great. How are you doing?
I would say hope. I like
Yeah.
hopeful. I am you know, I've been in a season of resetting and I
Mm.
am just home from the Alternate Roots annual business meeting and conference
Yes.
in Arden, North Carolina, and
Yes.
where we gather with about 250 artists and activists
Mm.
and look at each other's art, make some art together.
Yeah. So your
Yeah.
biggest takeaway, what was the biggest takeaway from this trip? This is year 10, right? That's big.
Dear Taryn, yeah.
Yeah.
Biggest takeaway. Um, ooh, for me personally,
Mhm.
I'm gonna tear up. Like the power of community, right? Our listeners know, like, I've had a really big year. And one of my roles that I often have in that community is to be their camp counselor and
Yeah.
to hold emotional space. And I'll be really honest. I almost turned around 2 or 3 times because I'm
Mm.
like, whoo, my bucket is so low. How am
Mm.
I showing up to do this for other people? Right. But integrity, one of the
Mhm.
roles I hold is integrity and innovation coordinator. And the integrity of I got a contract. I have told these folks I will be there. I am
Yeah.
on the road, pulling on all my practices on the
Mm.
way. Right.
Mm.
And one of which, not the least of, to be going a little early and stopping by one of my favorite places to eat for some
Mm.
gluten-free fried chicken, but that's a whole
Oh,
nother sidebar.
we could talk about that.
Early girl
Mm.
in Asheville, y'all.
Shout out to
But
Early Girl.
ugh, mwah. Um,
Mhm. Got
you
it.
know, but when I arrived on campus,
Yeah.
I was just overcome with emotion of the power of this community and people that I know and love and have been in not always easy, right? Community is not always easy if you're
Yeah.
being authentic and you're being real
Yeah.
but just the hugs and the power of community and that we get to show up as we are. And I think being trained as a clinical social worker years ago, like it was different. Like there was this thing we were taught of kind of like basically having a wall up between
Okay.
us and other people. And
Okay.
I think one of my biggest takeaways is that I can be authentic and be myself and be vulnerable and be tender and still do a damn good job and be all of who I am in these settings,
Yeah.
which this time was a grieving healer, right? And that
Mm.
didn't mean I couldn't hold space for people, but that is where I was in this part of my journey.
Yes. That makes
So,
perfect sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I see that our
how
guest
do,
dropped off, y'all. We'll
yeah,
see if we
hopefully
can
she'll be able to jump back on, maybe having
we're
a
gonna have
tech issue.
yeah, it's okay. We're gonna ride
Right.
the wave just like this other stuff. And I hear what you're saying. And I do want to highlight that too, just in case if a listener missed it. You said that the capacity was different this year. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so proud of you for being able to take the space for yourself and not saying, hey, I always do this part too. Like you're saying, okay, part of it I can do, right?
Right.
And this part needs to be off the plate this year so that you can show up that way because it was more appropriate that way. So
Well, I will think the other takeaway is, I've been building in this community for 10 years
yeah.
and we have built together. Like, I don't
Mm.
want to take credit for this piece, but we had a darn good team. So it wasn't
Mhm.
just me. Like, that
Yeah.
piece of you don't have to do it all by yourself. Like,
Right.
we had a team of Reiki healers, we had a massage therapist, we had
Mhm.
another counselor, we had a whole heel till team, which means those are folks that could support people. Like, we had a team of people holding the safety and the wellness of our community, which in these times, like, so needed, right?
So needed. So
So
needed, and let's actually, before we keep going, how about we do our intro
let's do
to
it.
the show, and we can jump into what we're talking about today and who our expert guest is.
Let's
Hey,
do it.
y'all. I'm Shannon Mitchell, a Black millennial entrepreneur, an Amazon bestselling publisher, author, and all natural product manufacturer. I am a champion for your natural self care, sustainable business care, and overall intentional wellness.
Mm. Hey, y'all, I'm Christine Gautreaux, a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, embodied coach, and an Amazon best-selling author and publicist, and a dancing social worker who helps you upgrade yourself and community care.
Yeah. Together, we are a podcast rooted in the 8 dimensions of wellness and the co founders of Women Connected in Wisdom Community.
And we like to get together every week with special guests for intentional conversations about how to be wise in business, relationships, and wellness.
Mhm.
Our guest today is coming in from Mississippi, which I'm very excited about because one of the things about Alternate Roots, it's a Southern organization. So I've been hanging out with some of my friends from Mississippi this last week, and some of my favorite people, and I'm excited about this conversation.
Yes. Yes.
So we
Mississippi.
talked a lot about me. How are you? Like, what are you when you're thinking about spiritual wellness?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Whew. My goodness. So good. So good, because I'm so grateful for the way that I've decided to move through situations, you
Mm.
know, and you don't ever know when this situation is going to come back around and back around this situation. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad I didn't sleep with this man and he was married. And now when I can come back, he can be a advocate for me on my work team, and we can keep it professional. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so glad that
That's some real
like,
talk.
you know what I mean? Like, Lord, that I didn't just take easy situations and then set myself up for something else on the other side. So
Mm,
I'm tired, right? I hear you on the grieving healer, and I'm so grateful.
mhm.
I'm so grateful.
Right.
It is August, right? And I forget that it's Black Business Month. And
Mm,
right. And so when we talk about being in business, our
mhm.
opportunities that we have in the generations that we find ourselves in, right? So grateful to be here with you, having this episode 167, right? Connecting with this amazing expert from Mississippi. And, we have some heavy hitters from Mississippi already. So, like, I love to see it, and just so grateful to help women in wellness, families get taken care of, and like individuals exponentiate and elevate their wellness. That's what I've been thinking about.
Can we talk about Black Business Month and that incredible speech last night from
Mhm.
Michelle Obama at the DNC?
Yes, and that's why I said hopeful. I need to finish
Right.
it, but what came to mind when you think about it,
Right.
or when you thought
Um,
about it?
well, some of it's just the memes that have come out of it,
Mm,
and her talking about jobs. And I just I'm with you on the hope. I'm with you on the power of kindness and the power of hope and getting stuff done. Right? I don't know. I'm just feeling a lot of energy, and I'm feeling both energy and tired because I've been watching speeches and they've been going till midnight and I'm
mm.
tired. Like,
Okay.
I'm like, oh, this past my bedtime.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just
Yeah.
fired up.
I hear you. I hear you. And again, I definitely feel created, made for such a time as this. So I don't. Again, I need to finish watching what she said last night. But
You'll know
yeah,
when you
okay, I hear you.
I don't wanna misquote her
Okay,
and watch the
but
whole speech
okay,
because you're gonna know the minute it
yeah,
hits. You're gonna be
got
like,
you.
"Oh, that's what she was talking
Okay,
about."
okay, got you. But let's say without knowing what you're talking about, right? being in business, that's why I'm so excited because we get to create positions, right? And not just
Mhm.
looking for positions. I'm loving to see an Olympian and somebody run for president. That's a job, right? Those are
Mhm.
positions.
Mhm.
And just so proud of all the strides that all of us are making, all of us in our
Right.
community, and trying to figure it
Woo.
out. Because when we talk about spiritual wellness, like it can feel heavy, like what about my purpose and all these things,
Mhm.
and you're trying to figure it out, but
Mhm.
it's going to be difficult because women weren't in these positions years ago, decades ago, hundreds
Right.
of years ago, so
We just celebrated the 50-year anniversary of when women could get their own
what was it, business
credit
law,
cards.
credit
No, credit
card.
cards
Yeah.
without a husband's signature. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's within 50 years.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
Relatively new.
when we're talking about purpose, right? I think that's one of my takeaways from last week too, right? Is our friend and colleague, Dr. Sheila K. Collins, who's doing the art of grieving, she says, we must make art out of what happens to us.
Yes.
And I believe in the power of art. Like,
Mhm.
and podcast is an art
Yes,
form.
it is.
It's
It is.
and the power of art to engage our communities, engage each other, and to just make some change,
Yeah.
right? So,
And to do something with it, right? I was listening to
right.
this interview. What was it? I think it was the Sarah Jakes Roberts interview, and this host was asking her about. I think it's something she included in her book, of making a meal with the leftovers that you have in situations,
Mhm.
right? And when we're grieving, stuff happens. It's like, well, what do I do with this now? What about this new person I am? What's left of the situation? The details that we feel like are the outliers and all the things, right? What do I do with it? Making art with it helps me, like it's not always going to be lemonade. We're
Mhm.
trying not to do too many lemon drops, right? Let's do
Mhm.
something else. Let's make some art out of it. And that's how I felt about the businesses, since my mom passed away and this doctor thought that me giving her insure was a good idea. Why didn't you tell her that? Like, let's get connected to the resources that we need and do it in
Right?
a beautiful way. So,
Mm. I love that. Woo!
yeah.
You ready for me to read the dimensional wellness so we
Yes.
can get going here? Let's
Yes.
do
And
it.
after you do that, I'm going to go ahead and read our expert's bio so we can all have this
Bring her up.
conversation together. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have this conversation. So, y'all, today we're talking about spiritual wellness. And the Women Connected in Wisdom definition of spiritual wellness is that spiritual wellness allows us to be in tune with our spiritual selves. This realm of wellness lets us find meaning in life events and define our individual purpose. It can be defined through various factors, including religious faith, values, ethics, and morals. Regardless of whether you believe in a particular religious faith, there is always something to be learned about how you see yourself in the world.
Hmm. Yes. And today, y'all, we are talking to expert Jacquelynn Cotten. Jacquelynn Cotten is a spiritual life and business coach who owns and runs multiple companies. She helps her coaching clients unlock their full potential through neuroscience and other modalities. She is the wife and mother to a blended family of 7. She has overcome many trials and tribulations, which have resulted in tremendous success within her clients' transformations. Help us welcome to the stage Jacquelynn Cotten.
Welcome,
Hey.
Jacquelynn!
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. I feel like my head's too big for this screen though. I
No,
don't
Oh,
know.
you look great.
we
You
love the
look
big
great.
heads and the long-winded women. We're here
And
for it,
I am
okay?
also loving those
Thank
glasses. Like,
you.
woo,
I made
super
a little
cute.
switch.
All
Okay.
right.
What made you switch to these? I know sometimes I'm intentionally moving from one style to the other. What popped for about these for you?
These are my blue blockers, and I figured if I'm
Hmm.
looking at the screen, good idea. But
Yes.
also they just happen to match the lipstick. If I'm being
Love
completely
it.
honest.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
thinking
Yep, I
the
like
same
it.
thing.
I
I was
like
like,
it.
woo, lips in those glasses.
I
Yes,
love it.
ma'am. We are here for it.
So if y'all see me at a panel one day with red glasses, you know why, okay?
Hmm.
I thank you.
Hmm.
Shout out to Jacqueline. Yes,
Hmm.
I love
I
it.
have
All
a
right,
purple lip that
I'll take it.
matches my glasses, but it's currently
So
missing. I don't know where I
The
lost it at.
infamous purple?
Right? I don't.
Okay.
in my travels, I think I have left it somewhere. So
Got you.
I need to get back on that. Jacquelynn's
So,
reminding me.
right, and we had this conversation online, y'all, bringing this conversation in a little differently than normal, right? Because we're talking about success. And online, we were talking about what do you feel like you have to have on before you leave? We're talking about glasses, lip color, right? But today, we're talking about redefining success. What does it mean to live a fulfilling life? Jacquelynn, can you help us see how you walk your clients through that from a spiritual wellness perspective?
Absolutely. So I walk people through a framework, and 9 times out of 10, it starts with clarity. A lot of people think that they know what they want, but when it comes down to the hard questions, such as what do you want to be remembered for? What do you want people to say at your funeral? How do you want people to remember you making them feel? All of a sudden people realize that maybe I'm not as fulfilled as I thought I was, and maybe I was just like all of us do, living up to this societal expectation of what success looks like. And it's a very, very spiritual thing. And so I walk my clients through really the brain science of, okay, can I curse on here, by the way? Do we curse? Nah. Okay. I'm glad I asked. Why do I feel so messed up? Why do I feel stuck? And it goes back down, typically childhood. And when those neural pathways were connected, when they were made, and how we can redirect and recreate these neural pathways so that you do start living a life that you're lit up about. I don't like that phrase as much as some people do. What lights you up? But really, like, what actually lights you up? And so when working with my clients, we focus on spiritual health, spiritual wellness, because typically the things that people work on they try to work on their mindset. A lot of us buy the journals and we say the affirmations and we do everything that the spiritual gurus are telling us to do, right?
Money is of no issue. Right.
And it's just like, at the end of the day, what really makes you happy? And typically money is what people think makes them happy. But it's not. It's what you think the money will provide, the feelings, the security, the safety, the options, the freedom. And so I help people actually get honest with their truest desires, with those dreams that they had when they were little, before someone came across and said, oh, you're living in la la land. Don't quit your day job. All the crap that kind of robs us of our joy that maybe we were supposed to do. So it's a lot of brain work. It's a lot of questions. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I work and I do hypnosis sessions. And so we get like really deep into the subconscious. And so mind, body, and spirit is what we want to focus on.
Yes.
It's real easy to go get a gym membership and start flexing your muscles and working your muscles and eating the food. And we can go talk to a therapist and we can do all the things that we've been told to do, read books and say the affirmations, etc. But on a subconscious level, on a spiritual level, who are you really? Who are you really? What do you really want is what we figure out. And that's when people find alignment. That's when they find authenticity. That's when they can, and you can tell when someone is aligned and fulfilled and living their purposes by their body language, by the way that they speak to you, by the way they accept compliments, by the way they talk about the past or the future. Like, you can just tell when that shift is made. And I watch, and this is why I'm on such a crusade, I watch so many people just go through the motions. They got the degree, they checked that box, they had the babies, they checked that box, they got married, I don't know which order they did it in, but they checked that box.
Right, yeah.
Did all the things that we're supposed to do, right? The American dream. But how often, and this happened, this may bring me to a little emotional, but like, how often, and maybe it doesn't happen where you are, but like, how often do you hear of someone that appeared to have it all, and then out of nowhere they're gone,
Mhm.
mental, they were sad, they weren't living a
Mhm.
fulfilled life. And so that's how I help people find fulfillment. And my goal
Mm.
is to save as many humans as possible, because so many of us are just walking around like robots.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm.
Speaking to actual conversations going on right now. Very
The
true.
one, the real ones, the like
Yes.
Mhm.
soul to
Yes.
soul,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And that reminds me, Christine, that's I was thinking about one video we recorded, right? Having a conversation like this. And I was talking about J-Lo, talking about I think like Sierra or something came
Mhm.
up and I saw your face. I was like, I hope Christine doesn't think I'm just trying to call out celebrities because it wasn't about that. But I'm like, bro, I hope J-Lo is okay. And now today I'm really like, I hope J-Lo is okay
Right? Real.
because
Real.
it's, because all of it can look great. And if one of the dimensions slips, everything moves, and that's why I'm so excited to be doing this for how long we've been doing it. Because it's so important to know that, even like the American dream, for example, y'all, I didn't know until recently that having your lawn mode, right? But it started as a way of showing how much money you have, right? And so it
Mm.
showed that you didn't have to take care of yourself and farm for yourself. And now we're all like, we probably need farms in our front yards, if you have a yard. And just what we're talking about how we set it up to look nice and manicured, but sometimes the wild is where we get our nutrients from, the
Mm.
connectedness and letting it grow back, is what we get. The different parts that make up the whole picture of what we need. So I have a question for you, Jacquelynn. When you're dealing with clients, right, and they're like, you know what, I'm ready to really start working on whichever part they haven't been working on. What are some of the challenges that you see that they face to start?
Being honest. Honesty is a really difficult thing. Like, I'm talking about like honesty that, let's say for instance, money is a big trigger for people. Let's say that they want money, or they desire, the romance of their life and intimacy and a great sex life and things like that. A lot of people won't admit that. They won't admit that they want to be rich and they want to have, a crazy fun and loving, interesting relationship. So it's like, I know for me, I grew up extremely, extremely poor. And so there was this whole mindset around money, like it doesn't grow on trees, da 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 da, etc. So
Mhm.
it was really, really difficult. And it is really difficult for people in the beginning to first be honest. Like, be honest about what you want, because we're so conditioned by other people's opinions and everything that we had to rely on growing up.
Yes.
I always tell my clients, and it's usually a breakthrough moment for them, but like, everything up to this point, if you believe that you can't be rich, if you believe that you can't find a man or a woman that is head over heels for you, if you believe that you can't own 100 acres and have ducks, and it's because someone at some point made you believe that.
Mhm.
And so it's
Mm.
coming to terms with the core of who they are before opinions, other people's beliefs, other people's unsolicited advice, etc., was involved. So
Mhm.
that's the toughest thing, is actually figuring out, without feeling like a crappy person or a greedy person, because a lot of my clients, they make money, they have a career, they have that American dream. And do you know how guilty they feel coming to me saying, but I still don't feel fulfilled?
Mhm.
Because
Mm.
then there's this societal pressure, and this pressure, especially in some religions, that like, that's it, you should be grateful for that, and you go to your grave and die happy, right? But for some of us, there is this longing of more. And so to admit that, some people feel that it makes them look selfish, greedy, unappreciative. And so it's getting past the shame and the preconditioned, borrowed beliefs, mindset, and generational curses that weren't theirs to begin with. So it's honesty is the most challenging thing in the beginning. And then it's the just creating new habit loops in the beginning, because it can feel pretty cheesy. It can feel cheesy to rewire your brain and to do the things I ask you to do, and like we call homework growth work. And so it's that level of honesty, and then this level of trust that, creating these new neural pathways, doing the work we do, the meditations, the spiritual work, the exploration of who they are as a person. It's really building that trust in themselves, but also that trust in me, that what they've been doing hasn't been working, or they wouldn't be feeling how they feel. And that when we do different new things, so for instance, you said we need the wildness, we need the wilderness sometimes. And that
Yes.
story about the grass, I recently learned that too. It's so funny you say that. It was, to be frank, I think it was a white privilege in the beginning.
Yes.
And it was so that they could see the
How far?
road. Yeah,
Yes.
so that they could see and protect their land, pretty much. It was a white privilege thing. Um, but it's so funny how disconnected we've got from nature and spirituality to begin with. And sometimes we do just need to go back to the basics and allow ourselves to like really do that dig deeping and ask those weird questions and the hard questions and do the shadow work and all the things.
Yeah.
And it's all connected somehow.
And
Jacquelynn, what are you okay if I go, Shannon? Or
go ahead. Absolutely.
well, as you were talking about, I was thinking about that quote that's often attributed to Albert Einstein, but they're not quite sure he said it. Of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yep.
That I know what you're talking about when folks are doing the same thing every day and they're expecting it to fulfill them, and it's not, right? And so that radical honesty with ourselves, right,
Yeah.
and each other.
Yeah. It's hard to call yourself out on the bull crap. It's
Right.
hard to take ownership of the fact that you have to take ownership from here on out. If you're not happy, if you're not fulfilled, it's a difficult thing to take that kind of responsibility, because you're so used to feeling like a failure in a sense that this is why I love neuroscience and working with the nervous system. Your nervous system is so used to that feeling that you continue to recreate it because it is so familiar and predictable. And so to do anything outside that is scary. It's very scary. And
Say that
it's,
again. Like, I think this is a gem that you just said, Jacquelynn, for our listeners. Say that
uh-oh,
again.
which part?
The part
I got you.
about your nervous system is used to it. So
Yeah.
even if it's a feeling of disaster
Yeah.
or
It could
sadness
be joy.
or
You're trying to go to joy from
Yeah.
depression, and it feels
right.
bad because you're so used to this
Yes.
neurotransmitter and this road that you
Mm-hmm.
go
Yes.
down. It's like, what is
Yes.
this new unpaved road? What is this?
Right.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So first off, for your listeners, if you're at all curious about neuroscience, find me. But the person you really want to listen to, if you don't want to work with someone one-on-one, is to read from a doctor called Dr. Joe Dispenza. He opened my mind and my eyes to neuroscience in a way that it changed my life, and it's why I do what I do now. But to repeat for your listeners, your nervous system, and this starts as early as the womb. And I say that, and I want to repeat that because a lot of us feel broken. This starts as early as the womb. If your mother was under any distress, if she was abused, if she, whatever the story is, you carried your body, your nervous system adapted to that literally in the womb. But then let's take it through your childhood too, based on your childhood and the most fundamental years that your nervous system really, really matures and kind of sets itself in its ways is like the teenage years. And so you get used to, based on who you live with, who you hang out with, your teachers at school, how they speak to you, extracurriculars, or if you're not in extracurriculars and you're mixed up with the wrong kids, etc. Your nervous system is built and in those fundamental years. And so your nervous system is addicted to whatever you are constantly exposed to. So I like to tell people, and they don't even realize it. And I'm talking about like I have a client who is a lawyer and makes a shit ton of money. And she still has this sense of no fulfillment, right? And it's because now she has a whole health story too, but when your nervous system is used to something, introducing a new feeling to that is a threat.
Mhm.
It is a threat to your nervous system. And so if you are trying to break a habit, which starts with a loop, we do something and then we do something else and then we do something else and we continue that loop, which creates those habits, it's going to freak your system out. And so even if you are addicted to drama, if you're addicted to bad feelings and you want to get better, your mind says, you know what, I'm tired of this. I want to get better. Your nervous system is wired because of the constant exposure to environment, conditions, people, energy, that you're going to fight yourself against it. And so that's why the power of repetition is so
Mhm.
important in rebuilding those neural pathways. So
Yeah. And what's helped me is when we talk about habit stacking stuff, right? Coupling it with something that I know I'm going to look forward to. So now knowing this, a lot of people don't go in like this again. We have new verbiage, we have new conversations that we didn't used to have. So maybe before we weren't like, oh, I'm going to rewire my brain. But now, if you're listening to this and you're doing it intentionally, right? Maybe you do stack your favorite snack with it, or um, put something that you know brings comfort or sparks joy so that it'll help you want to keep doing it. And that's what I've been working on. Like, I need to what I've been thinking about is starting to do a little snack pack, have a little snack bag of my favorite popcorn or something, and then let's go to QuickBooks. Let's go organize. I haven't done it yet, but it's what I plan on doing, y'all. Okay, so like, let's go over here and continue to work on it. And I want to go a little bit further with this conversation of the gratefulness, right? Because I feel like this is really big when we're talking about women in business, change makers, right? Caretakers, and redefining success, because it's both. And if you feel like you're too far on the grateful side, let me just be grateful for what I have right now. Now there might be shame around it and you try to go the other way, right? But what I love about being women, right? What I love about coming from places like you're talking about coming from, Jacquelynn, financially, if we're judging it by a poverty line, being below that, right? Having holes in my shoes, brushing my teeth in my chemistry teacher's classroom. Yes, I was an honor student, and yes, he helped me in multiple ways. um, I can be grateful and resourceful and make whatever meal I need to make out of the ingredients that I have in the kitchen. And I can also say, hey, isn't it going to be nice when we look outside and see the two-sided fireplace? Can't you wait, for the guest house on the other side of the pool? Like, and also look for more. And for me, and I've struggled with this, right? And especially because I wrote this chapter, Jacquelynn, for our second volume, Women Connected in Wisdom, right? The title is How to Maximize Your Capacity. That's the title of my chapter. And in it, I'm talking about, maybe it was volume one. That's crazy. I get the books mixed up. That's crazy. But in part of it, I think it was volume one, talking about Shaylo Glow. I was talking about why I started my business to have unmitigated financial freedom, right? And it's also because of this, what you're talking about. If you're saying that babies remember it from the womb, and I just shared this weekend at a pop-up shop for Shaylo Glow. My grandmother passed away when my mom was pregnant, right? So of course, important women passing away and feeling like I don't have what I need, I'm like, no, no, no. But it's part of the purpose of now the women will be set up, okay? And that's what it's translated to in the art that we're making out of it. But I can be grateful talking about spiritual wellness for what I have, and I can be resourceful and make this beautiful recipe from what I have today and trust that I have what I need today, and also say, hey, I want generational wealth for my family so that they can take more than 2 days off, like we talked about last week, when somebody passes away, so that they can pull money from the whole life policy and start their four companies that way, instead of me taking the 1,200 from unemployment. And this $9,000, I'm still waiting on IRS. I didn't get $9,000 from my unemployment. And I put a message in one of the podcasts, and this is the second message, but we invested it, right? And so I love this conversation. Can you talk more about how you help your clients there if they're struggling with the like asking for more for themselves with this focus on success?
Absolutely, I can, because I've been there, and girl, there are still days where I struggle.
Yeah.
And here's what I wanna say this before I go into full detail.
Mhm.
What I've realized, and I can't claim this, I take this from an energetics coach that she's amazing. Her name is Christy Avis, and
Mm.
she said this, and it just it got me so good. And I think that your listeners will be like, oh crap, okay, can't unhear or unlearn that.
Okay, here we go.
But where are you subscribing to suffering rather than asking for help? And it just, for me, it did something for me.
Say that again.
Where are you subscribing to suffering rather than asking for help? Are you all right over there? Is it good or
Yeah,
bad?
because here's
Good, it's
what
good.
is good. Because here's what I'm thinking, Jacquelynn. Like, we talk often on this podcast about how, you get those sneaky subscriptions that you didn't realize you signed up for monthly subscriptions. So when you said that about where are you subscribing to suffering, like, where is it sneaky? Like, where do you not even realize you have subscribed to suffering? Woo!
Yeah. And so that's where we have to start. And again, it goes with the honesty.
Hmm.
How often do we do passive aggressive things? My husband, and I love you, baby, and we're working on this. Your wife's a life coach, so just trust me here. But the like past something like passive aggressiveness, for instance, throwing dishes around, da 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 da, and then someone asks you, "Art, what's wrong?" "Oh no, I'm fine. I'm fine." Because there's not this level of honesty. And there's this level of, again, your nervous system is addicted to the drama, addicted to whatever feeling or chemical it is that you've been getting for so long. And so it's almost like you put yourself through the suffering to prove to yourself and to put yourself through this self-perpetuating fulfilling cycle, because again, your nervous system likes predictability. And what is your brain's job to do other than protect you, your organs, all the things. I like to tell people, like, think back when it comes to the brain, and this really does help people bring things into a sense of awareness and to into retrospect, I think. But our brains, if we think about how long humans have been around, and we think back to like Neanderthal days, and we think to like we are straight up running from tigers. We are like, hiding in trees. We're hunting for like we're actually protecting ourselves. We're like, we're finding tribes, all the things. Your brain is that old. Like, the brain is that old. It's been around for that long. And so
Right.
as we've evolved, it's its job is still to protect us, right? And so it will put you through the suffering. If you're used to suffering, if you're used to the mundane, if you're used to not taking risks, if you're used to all these things that are not fulfilling you and that are not keeping you spiritually well, then you'll just keep putting yourself through that. And so how do I help them? I ask them the hard questions, and we get honest. And sometimes that comes in the form of hypnosis. Sometimes that's like shadow work, stuff like that. But ultimately, like that quote just, I think it says it all. Where are you subscribing to suffering rather than asking for help?
And I would love to keep going there, right? Because when we talk about women uplifting their voices, and we're surprised, every book, we're like, from women in their 20s to their 80s are questioning if their voice matters. Does it fit, right? And to me, what I always go back to is like you're saying, go back to that point in childhood where someone told you you're not supposed to use your voice that way, or that it wasn't right, or that was too bossy, or it was too loud, or it lasted too long, or whatever it is, right? Um, and fixing this relationship, this is what one of my goals of our communities and my intentions, fixing our relationship with asking for help, right? Because in our environment, even the other week, and this is a tender spot, right, with Sonia Macy, I was like, and this is why it's difficult to ask for help. She thought somebody was breaking into her home. She says she didn't feel safe. They didn't listen. We have somebody else on the ground. It's crazy, So of course we don't feel safe asking for help, right? And that's the physical part that you see. That's not the emotional part and our words and all this other stuff. So when somebody's there and you're like, okay, I see this person is not asking for help, do they start by writing it and then they can and like how do you walk them through that part of the
So
communication?
typically, these transformations are either in person or we do
Mhm.
Zoom calls. The Zoom calls are really powerful. If they just want to talk on the phone, we can do that too. But I, again, it goes with the questions. There's a lot of questions
Mhm.
and provoking questions that tap into a part of their subconscious that helps them discover a whole lot. But with the whole, that's where we have to figure out like the origination of why they don't feel safe asking for help.
Right.
Like why don't we
Yes.
feel safe doing that? Why
Yes.
don't we feel safe using our voice? Stuff like
Right.
that.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's a lot of conversation.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of sometimes I really find hypnosis works really, really well for people. Um,
Okay.
and then just digging into, like, we have to start asking for help
Hmm.
because we either ask for help or we do it ourselves. And if we want to continue to do it ourselves, then we can't complain that nobody's helping us. And
Yes.
I just kind of have to give them the tough love sometimes.
Yeah.
Like the questions usually lead them to answer them for themselves and let them have the realizations. But ultimately, I mean, it's really kind of like take an inventory of the things they want and the things they need help with, and then figuring out, okay, well, how can we get help with that? Really great example. Tons of women in my family do this.
Okay.
They want a break.
Yeah.
They just want a break. Not
Hmm.
with the kids. Don't even want. They don't even need a date night. Don't even care
Right.
about the date night. I
They
would just
want the break. Right.
like, could we just put it on the schedule that I can use the bathroom with no
Hmm.
interruptions? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, but like, how often does a woman go and like schedule the pedicure and put it on the calendar and actually plan? So, what I help people with a lot is like strategically
Mm-hmm.
figuring out ways to ask for help. And typically, they are just so conditioned to think that they're not worthy of asking for help, or it's going to make them look lazy, or they're so used to being so strong. Maybe they're the breadwinner, and so they're afraid. There's a lot of fear in asking for help because we've been taught, I know down south especially,
That makes sense.
to be very tough, very
Hmm.
tough. I was told as a kid, do not come to me unless you are bleeding or dying. And if you're bleeding, like, you know where the band-aids are. You know, like we're
That's a good point. Excuse me.
raised to be tough, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and raised Jacquelynn to do everything by ourselves, right?
Yeah.
You saying this, and I don't know if we've had this conversation on air or not. Shannon, Shannon knows because she's my
Well,
friend. But during the pandemic, like I was supposed to be an empty nester, and my two college age kids were home because colleges were closed, and so we were probably about a year in. I can't remember. It was that time when we were waiting on vaccines. Everybody was still home, pretty much locked down, losing my darn mind, running several businesses out of the home. My husband and I were used to traveling, and now everybody's home, right? Whew. And I would say to girlfriends, I just need a clean house and 1 hour by myself. That was my mom. I just need a clean house and 1 hour by myself. And finally, one of my girlfriends looked up and said, you can have at least one of those. And I said, which one? And she said, a clean house. You need to invite somebody to come support you and clean your house. And I was like, and it's so duh. But I was like, that wasn't how I was raised. It wasn't like this was a big deal. This was a big, like, it was a big thing. And, and I will never forget because, I invited, there was this well recommended person to come to my house that a lot of people in the neighborhood were using. And he came to my door and he said, I will go look now. And he went straight up to my master bathroom, which of course incited a wash of shame and, oh my gosh, I didn't look at the shower because I don't use that shower. My husband uses that shower. When was the last time somebody cleaned that shower? Like all the things, right? And he comes back down and he quotes me a price and he says, because it is dirty. And I was mortified, right? But I was like, well, of course it's dirty. I wouldn't be asking for help if it was clean. And I got out of my own way, is what I did. I just got out of my own way. I asked for the help I needed. 100,000% recommended because, and then what I did is I instituted a policy that after they come to clean my house, I have an hour by myself on the couch with a cup of tea. Because
what
I
type of
got
tea?
very clear. Oh, English breakfast with a little bit of raw honey. Because it's usually
Mhm.
about at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's that pickup time that you're
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
I got to finish the day.
Mhm.
But I got really clear with what I needed and wanted and got out of my own way because it was old
Yes.
stories and old this or
Let
that.
go.
And yeah. But
Mm.
that I recognize how hard that is, especially for women. And like you said, in the South, we were taught we do it by ourselves.
Mhm.
We don't let people see like when something's not clean or in
Mhm.
order or like,
Mhm.
whoo, right? It's
That makes
real.
sense. Yeah. And that's what I was going back to for the grateful part, right? We can be grateful for where we are, what we have, our gifts, and also if you feel like you don't have it, this is a permission slip for you to ask for that. Be brave enough to ask for exactly what you want. And I like to leave a little bit extra room for whatever God wants to do. Like, okay, God, if I forgot something, you want to exceed expectations, exceed expectations. I think that's why this beautiful light skinned man over here has green eyes. I'm like, green eyes? I didn't even ask for this. People in Atlanta would be begging for this. That's crazy, God. But whew, thank you, Lord. Yes. So
I
each
love
week,
it.
thank you, Jacquelynn. We talk about wisdom in action, right? And you've shared some stories. You've shared your resource and how you help your clients redefine success for them, right, and reach it. What are you doing for yourself this week for spiritual wellness to make sure that your bucket is refilling, your cup is refilling?
I love that question. So I was one of those people pleaser. Just so
Mm,
everybody knows, like the best people pleaser, put myself last in everything. And now I tell everybody how I feel and what I want. And since
mm.
doing that, I do get what I want. Like to
Hello.
my new little thing. I don't know what this was. Some
That's
jazz hands.
yeah, yeah. Celebrating you.
Yes. But so for me, spiritual wellness for me is making sure that my mind, my body, and my spirit feel fulfilled. And so for that, it requires for me, and I would go in, I think this is for everybody, honestly. But this week, I've been to the gym. It's what, day 3 of the week. I've been to the gym all 3 days so far, making sure that I'm moving my body. I intuitively eat and I take care of myself that way. I am I've been taking a nap because I feel like it, and that's something I wasn't raised to do either.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just really, I've had some hard conversations this week too, and but I feel so much lighter because of that, because I was honest and vulnerable, and again told someone what I need and what I want, and the non-negotiables, so that I can put my head down at night and still feel fulfilled. And so exercise. I love exercise. Um, I love lots of water. Right now, I'm drinking a strawberry tea from my favorite place called Cups with a
Oh,
little bit
okay.
of honey because
Hmm.
that makes me happy. Um, I'm just enjoying the little things in life, y'all. Like sitting outside, and um, I'm a cannabis patient, and so I just take my time. I live slowly, and doing my best not to take moments for granted, because we have a total of 5 kids. And as grateful as I am that they're all in school, I'm also, it's just so bittersweet because they're growing so fast. So those are the little things I
Yes.
do for myself. Go
Oh,
for
I love it.
walks, stuff like that. I want to say, is my wisdom in action, that ultimately, even if I hadn't listed any of those things,
Hmm.
my wisdom for everybody, and that I implement tremendously, is just following my intuition. And that looks like those little moments of, oh, that would be cool to take a new way home from work, and then finding out that, oh, there's a family of ducks that crossed the street, and it was a precious moment that you wouldn't have gotten to see if had you not taken a new way home. So it's really just little things like that. Following my intuition is what I really want to, that's my wisdom in action, I guess.
Yes.
Mm.
And I think that there was something, it reminds me of something we said earlier. I think that sometimes, oh, she cut out. Hopefully she'll come back. Um, there she goes. Let's see, we can pull her up real quick. Okay. Can you hear us okay? Okay, beautiful. Welcome back. Um, something that came up, what did you say? Not taking moments for granted. I don't remember. That's okay.
What are you thinking about your wisdom in action this week, Shannon?
I think that that is what I wrote down for mine, and that's
Hmm.
intentionally where I've been, right? Not taking moments for granted, and been studying more on human design and being an initiator, manifester, and these things, and the ebbs and flows, and all the things. Like it makes sense, right? Um, and really just checking in with myself. Do I feel like I'm rushing and pressured to do something? Like, okay, yes, these things we talk about
Hmm.
being set up. You want these things set up, and they will be. But again, right now, you have what you need. Do you have to do it like that? And usually it's, I don't have to do it like I could do this. And then, just
Hmm.
following that and not taking the moments for granted, enjoying the season that we're in. As I've been sharing about the logistics shifting, knowing they're going to shift again, enjoying the end of summer and um, networking more and helping insurance clients and doing new stuff with us with sponsors and stuff. I've just been enjoying where I am and the parts that I've prayed for that are here right now, and not always looking forward
Mm.
to, oh, well,
Mm.
what about that? This is not here yet, but a lot of stuff is here, and that's where I've
Right?
been living.
Right? That's
Yeah.
powerful. Right?
Thank
In
you.
interplay, we call that look for the good or
Yeah.
affirmation. And I know
Yeah.
you and I've talked about that about gratitudes. And
Mhm.
I do think that's a spiritual practice
It
of, I know
is.
for me, for spiritual wellness
Yeah.
is, I don't know. I don't know if we mentioned this last week or not. I think I might have, because it might
Mhm.
have just come across
Okay.
where I was seeing on socials how
Mhm.
somebody creates a note with a friend
Yep,
and
you
they
shared
look
it,
for,
yep.
okay, good. Because
No, but let's Let's talk about
Well,
it.
what it was is where you create a shared note
Mhm.
to where you you look for the good or the affirmation, or you also like you look for the glimmer, or you look for the moments of miracles or the moments of the divine. And
Yes.
so I started that with a friend, but I'm not in practice with it yet. So I think
That's
that's
okay.
my wisdom in action this week, is to seek and record
Mhm.
those divine glimmers
I love
that
that.
cross our paths every day. When you were saying, Jacquelynn, about, oh, if you follow your intuition to go home away, I always like, my mom is called scenic tour mom, grandma, and I definitely follow in her footsteps. And anytime I quote unquote go off the path, whether that's a wrong turn or the GPS didn't catch up with me or whatever, I always then immediately go on alert. What am I supposed to see here? Because I have seen some
Yes.
incredible pieces of art that I didn't know exist, some little nooks or crannies or moments with wildlife or things that have just been those divine glimmers that,
Yes.
if I would have not deviated from the path that was before me,
Mhm.
I might have missed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I know that we're almost at time and we're wrapping it up, right? But I do want to go a little bit further there, Christine, because going back to this unmitigated financial freedom, right? And
Mhm.
big things that women can ask for themselves, and they see these big things and are nervous to ask for it. Did I lose my thought again? No, Lord. What did you just say, Christine? Remind me. I've been working on
I was just
backtracking when I
I
forget.
was just talking about seeking and
Mhm.
affirming and recording those
Oh,
glimmers.
thank
And
you.
yeah.
So for those of us who do not know what glimmers are, right?
Oh, yeah.
We talk about being responsible for your triggers, all these things. We can have that
Hmm.
conversation on emotional and mental wellness, right? But these glimmers, so you know, we're the opposite of that. Looking
Right.
for sparks of joy, things that align. And yeah, I wanted to make sure to give that to people as we talk
Thank
about
you.
defining success, because
Yeah.
when I lay out these, that's what I was saying, these steps on how to maximize your capacity, and this stress around the question of how people are going to see it, because it's not overworking or overextending ourselves or doing more, but it's the make the plan, right? We're supposed to make it plain, but guess what, y'all? It will never go that way. It will never go exactly how you thought. You will absolutely have a detour, a deviation, something's gonna happen,
Hmm.
and when that
Hmm.
happens, and where were you? Where were you abroad and that happened and you were on the bike, Christine?
Oh, I was in the Netherlands
And you could
and
be in the
I
Netherlands.
accidentally biked 20 miles because I took so many pictures of the beautiful flowers that my phone died and I
Right.
didn't have GPS to make it back.
You know what I mean?
It's
So,
a
hey, if you
shame path that I went out.
I love it. So in life, right, when you're off the path, take so many pictures like Christine, remember where you are, note the beauty, and remember that you'll find your way back. It's part of the divine plan, right? And thankfully, we don't have to be in control of everything. That's what I think about when I think about spiritual wellness.
Mm,
I
Yeah.
love that. I
me
love that so
too.
much.
Thank you so
Jacquelynn, can
much.
you tell folks how to find you
Please.
if they've been sparked by this conversation and want to work with you? How do they find you?
Girl, I'm just on Instagram. I'm not everywhere. I mean, you can find me everywhere, but I will respond quickest on Instagram.
Yes.
And so if you just want to find, you could even type in spiritualsupportsystem.com and it'll route you to my Instagram. Um, and that's how you find me. I try not to do a whole bunch of fancy stuff. I want to make it simple for people to find me.
Yeah.
Um, and I truly love what I do. I'm so glad that y'all had me on here. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I do want to mention um,
Please.
Mhm.
my new book that came out. I was part
Oh,
of. Well, it was a collective.
yes,
It was a
please.
collaboration.
That's what
But
we do.
very
Okay.
good. Spiritual Awakenings 2 is
Mm,
out, and you can get that now on Amazon. And it is,
congratulations.
thank you so much. It is a collection of stories from various women across the United States, possibly
Mm,
globe. I'm not sure if there's anybody out of the country,
okay.
but all of our spiritual awakenings, and we share those
Mm,
stories because that's life, y'all, and one big spiritual awakening. And so
yes.
if you've been inspired, I would love to chat with you.
Is this Jacquelynn? I'm looking because I want to put it in the show notes. Is it
Yeah.
Spiritual Awakenings 2 More Journeys of the Spirit? And it has this beautiful tree with lights on it. Is that the right one?
No, but I'll send it
No.
to you.
Okay, please
I'll send it to you.
send me the link so we can share that with our listeners
Yes.
and uplift you as an author too. So
I
absolutely.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can
Thank
find
you.
me there. And then, yeah, we got one-on-one work we could do together. I have mobile mentorship. That's like having a
Yes.
coach in your back pocket. If you want, pretty much text me and I'm there for you.
Mm.
And that's both spiritual life and business coaching. I do help women make a lot of money. Speaking of the unlimited abundance,
Yes.
so I help women scale their businesses there. And then we have our annual retreat, and the wait list is open for that right now too, and that's called Spiritual Portal.
Yes. Yes. And that's when? August next year, right?
So we have not decided the date yet, but it's either going to be
Okay.
the very end of July or the very
Okay.
beginning of August, but it's always around that time. So yeah,
Okay. That's
it's
so
really great.
exciting.
Oh my God,
Thank you
y'all.
so much.
It's you talk about if you want to go on a spiritual journey and find who you are without the labels, without the opinions, without the
Right.
masks, like
Mhm.
on, I call it an animalistic level, because
Mhm.
we hide that, but that the true us
Mm.
is hidden. It's the retreat for you. It's so magical. So magical.
Mm.
Mm.
So y'all, we'll have her information in the show notes to get connected. You're interested in the retreat, the book, the first one, second one, right? We'll have all of that for you. Jacquelynn, is there anything else you would like to say to our listeners before we wrap episode 167?
Oh, congrats, by the way.
Thank you so
That's
much.
167 episodes. I'm approaching, I'm on, I'll hit 100 episodes this year. And I'm like,
That's
oh my
exciting.
God. Oh, so I'm
Yes.
so excited for y'all. But
Yes. Thank you.
closing words. Let's see what Spirit has. You are so worthy.
Mm.
You are so incredibly worthy. And I know that a lot of us were made to feel small, or we live what we call buttoned up, and keeping up with the appearances. But I just want everyone to know that
Yeah.
the true you, which is
Mhm.
the weird you, the
Mhm.
unfiltered you, the one without the mask, the one that likes to
Mhm.
have random dance parties and maybe drink a beer in the shower, even though that doesn't make sense. That's you. That's
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
the world needs that. And we've
Mhm.
got we've got people that love to do numbers and be accountants and do all the things, but like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, when you are sitting, I say sitting in your rocking chair on the front
Right.
porch, drinking sweet tea, that's a southern
Mm.
thing, but that's what I'll
Yeah.
do. Really think that far ahead about your life and the stories that you're going to be telling. And I think it's
Mhm.
so important to just get what you want right now.
Mm.
Just get what you want from this life right now. Because that's the whole purpose of you being here in this human experience, is to enjoy it, to enjoy
Right.
all this world has to offer. Why else would it be so beautiful and so interesting and so many different colored people? And
Yeah.
just go out there and like really live whatever that looks like
Mm.
for you.
Yes.
For
I
me,
second that motion.
I'm with you.
for me,
Yes.
it was not sitting before, in a cubicle for
Mm-mm.
12 hours a day.
Right.
It was, you see that I'm like y'all know, I'm sitting in my
Yeah.
car. I'm
Yeah.
always on the go. I go and
Mhm.
find waterfalls. I quit my
Mm.
job, and
Yes.
why not? Because why not? Why
Right.
not now? Why not me? And
Mhm.
Mm.
and there's nobody else that can do this for me but me. And so that's what I want your listeners to walk away with, is
Absolutely.
success does not have to look like one specific thing. Success looks like whatever makes you so happy and fulfilled that when you put your head down at night, you are excited to wake up
Mm.
the next day.
Mhm.
Woo!
Thank you
Yes,
so much.
ma'am.
You're so
Thank
welcome.
you
Yes.
so much, Jacquelynn. Thank you for your time, for your
Yeah.
expertise, for being
Mhm.
connected. We are grateful to know you, and thanks for being here.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you soon. Woo, that was a good conversation.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it
Mm,
was. And what, met months ago, I said, "Okay, I can't wait for this podcast." And here we go.
right?
Come and gone. It's
Right?
history, herstory already.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Anything else? I know we're over time, but you want to give a shout out for anything before we wrap episode 167?
I don't think so. I second what Jacquelynn said, and that's,
Mhm,
I guess that's what we'll end with, echoing that. That is what my passion behind Women Connected in Wisdom is. Shaylo
mhm,
Glow, like, you
mhm.
deserve to be connected to the resources and the people who care about you and will authentically take care of you. You know,
Right?
and as I've been working through it, y'all have heard the stories. I'm working here now, I'm working here. And what I found when I started asking for help, if I couldn't ask there, now I know it's dangerous. Literally. You
Mm,
gotta go. It's dangerous.
mhm,
You know what I mean?
mhm,
And that's how you find the alignment. That spot is for somebody else. Have it open for that person for when they come. It might not be
mm,
me though, and that's okay.
mhm,
So I'm excited. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know how this show helped. And I'm just, again, we talked about the mental and emotional wellness. We know for volume 2, that's why we were excited to offer so many resources in that category because of how
mhm.
difficult last year was. And this year is difficult as
Whew,
well. So get connected and let us know what helps.
I love
Yes.
it. I
You
love it,
have
love it,
anything
love it.
else?
No, I'm just grateful. Great conversation. Grateful to be in community and
You know what I just realized?
what?
Did you do a wisdom in action?
Ooh, I may not
Ooh,
have done a wisdom in action. I think my wisdom in action for spiritual wellness this week
yes.
is go to the water. Like
Yes.
I'm just home for a couple of days
Mhm.
between different states. And,
Yeah.
when I introduce myself on Zoom calls, I often say I am zooming in from the ancestral lands of the Muskogee Creek. I'm
Yes,
a
you do.
mile east of the Chattahoochee River in a place
Mhm.
now called Duluth, Georgia.
Mhm.
Well, I have a relationship with that river, and I haven't been there in a couple of weeks because I've been traveling. So when I was thinking about reconnection and my places where I experience joy and connection and gratitude, I just got a picture of the river. And so
Mhm.
I think my wisdom in action this week is going to go to the water, go to the
I
river
love it. I've been
and
thinking
take
about that
some
song,
time.
The River.
Yeah.
The River, I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Right. Well, I love seeing the river in her different stages and her different moods and in her
Mm.
different seasons. And I don't know if you felt it today, Shannon, but I felt a teeny hint of fall
I
in the
did.
Atlanta air today.
Mhm. I
So
did.
I want to go say hi to my river for the summer, especially since I'm about to, be traveling a little more. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you so much for playing with me. Thank you for all the episodes and everything. Y'all, we'll be here live at 5 next week, Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. In the meantime, be well, be wise, be whole. We'll talk to